Between 1945 and 1950, 5 people vanished in the same stretch of forest in southwestern Vermont. Different ages, different backgrounds, different circumstances. One was a 74-year-old hunting guide who knew every trail on the mountain. One was an 18-year-old college student hiking in broad daylight on a popular trail. One disappeared from a moving bus, surrounded by other passengers. No bodies recovered, no suspects, no explanation. The area is called the Bennington Triangle, and the most disturbing detail isn't the disappearances. It's what was found 2 years before they started. Glastonbury Mountain sits in southwestern Vermont in the Green Mountain National Forest. It is not remote wilderness. It is a documented trail area used by hikers for generations. The Appalachian Trail runs nearby. The Long Trail crosses the region. But Glastonbury has a specific history that predates the 1945 disappearances by centuries. The Abenaki, the indigenous people of this region, refused to settle on or near Glastonbury Mountain. Their oral traditions described the area as cursed. They spoke of winds that behaved unnaturally, of compasses that failed, of people who entered the mountain and did not return. European settlers in the 19th century established a small mining and logging community on the mountain. By the early 20th century, it had been completely abandoned. Not relocated, abandoned. The buildings were left standing. In 1943, 2 years before the disappearances began, a hunter named Carl Herrick went missing near Glastonbury while on a hunting trip with his cousin. His body was found 3 days later. It was surrounded by large, unidentified footprints. The official cause of death: his ribs had been crushed inward. His lungs were punctured. No weapon was found. No animal tracks matched the footprints. The case was closed. 2 years later, the disappearances began. Midi Rivers, November 12, 1945. 74 years old. An experienced hunting guide who had worked the Glastonbury area for decades. He knew every trail, every stream, every landmark. He was leading a group of 4 hunters back to camp when he moved ahead of the group. He was never seen again. An extensive search found 1 rifle cartridge in a stream. Nothing else. Paula Weldon, December 1st, 1946. 18 years old. A student at Bennington College. She was hiking the long trail in a bright red coat, visible from a significant distance. 2 witnesses were following her on the same trail, close enough to see her clearly. The trail turned a corner. They followed. She was gone. The trail continued. There was nowhere to go. She had been in their sight seconds before. James Tedford. December 1st, 1949. Exactly 3 years to the day after Paula Weldon vanished. Tedford boarded a bus in St. Albans, Vermont. He was traveling to Bennington. 14 other passengers were on the bus. At a stop before Bennington, other passengers saw him in his seat. When the bus arrived in Bennington, his seat was empty. His luggage was still in the overhead rack. A bus timetable was open on his seat. He had vanished from a moving vehicle, surrounded by witnesses. Paul Jepson, October 12, 1950. 8 years old. His mother left him in a pickup truck for 30 minutes while she tended to animals nearby. When she returned, he was gone. A search involving the Vermont State Police and the U.S. Army found nothing. Frida Langer, October 28, 1950. An experienced outdoors woman who knew the area. She slipped into a stream while hiking with companions. She told them she was going back to camp to change her wet clothes. Camp was close. The trail was clear. She never arrived. Search teams combed the area repeatedly over the following months. Nothing. 7 months later, her body was found, in an area that had been searched multiple times. The cause of death could not be determined. The body showed no signs of the 7 months that had passed. 5 disappearances in 5 years. Same area, all unsolved. The conventional explanation that hikers got lost in difficult terrain does not account for James Tedford. He did not get lost. He was on a bus. The serial killer theory has been investigated and produced no suspect. No evidence of violence was found in 4 of the 5 cases. The terrain theory doesn't account for midi rivers, a man who had navigated this terrain professionally for decades. We found something in the Vermont State Police investigation files from 1950, specifically in the notes from the Frida Langer search. The notes reference a compass anomaly reported by multiple search team members in a specific area of the mountain. The anomaly was noted. It was not investigated as a potential factor in the disappearances. We are not claiming the Bennington Triangle is supernatural. We are noting that 5 people vanished in the same area, that the indigenous people of the region had refused to settle there for centuries, that a man was found crushed by something unidentified 2 years before the disappearances began, and that search teams reported compass failures in the area, and that none of these details have been connected in any official investigation. The mountains keep their secrets. Here is what we know. 5 people vanished in southwestern Vermont between 1945 and 1950. 1 from a moving bus. None were found alive. 1 body was discovered 7 months later in a repeatedly searched area. Compass anomalies were reported by search teams. The Abenaki had refused to settle there for centuries. Here is what we don't know. What happened to midi rivers? Where Paula Weldon went when she turned the corner. How James Tedford left a moving bus. What the compass anomalies indicate. And whether the 5 disappearances are connected, or 5 separate events that happened to occur in the same place. We're laying out what we found. You decide what it means. Subscribe, and leave a comment.